Hello everybody and welcome back to Connect to Tech with the podcast that I've forgotten the name of. It's been that long. Oh, it's What the Tech, isn't it?
What the Tech, yeah. That's what this is. We haven't spent forever just doing exams and trying not to fail our degrees. Yeah.
Pretty much. But what the tech have we been doing for the
we should do a bit of an update on what the hell we've been doing.
We probably should. Oh no, it's What the Tech we've been doing.
Oh. What the tech have we doing? Well, what have you been doing since the hiatus?
Since the hiatus, I had my final project because I'm in my third year at university, and that was just lots of work.
I think you could just leave it at lots, probably.
It was just lots, yes. We even planned to make a video explaining that we were going to be on this hiatus, and didn't even get round to doing that, which demonstrates how busy things were.
Yeah, I've been resitting second year, go me, so I've had to do my exams again, and I'm taking it very, very seriously this time, so it's been like a good 2 months of revision and proper doing things, and it went pretty well, I think, so I'm not going to jinx it.
This is the one.
I might get a degree, or I might just give up and go mad.
So that's where we've been. Hope everyone's been well. As you can tell from our 9 subscribers, this is more of a hobby thing than anything else, which means that dedicating time to it is tricky sometimes, but obviously now that we've finished the stressful period, we can move on into the fun summer period.
Relaxing bit.
Yes, which means that we're going to start the Tech Experiment series at some point.
Yes, we are.
Even though Richard's just got rid of all of the stuff to do the Tech Experiments with.
I've still got enough stuff that we can do a bunch of episodes.
Okay.
It's okay. I've got a few ideas on that front.
Good.
How to make all your money on graphics cards. That's an episode we can do now, because that's what I totally did.
That's what Richard did, which leads us nicely on. Look at that segue there. That was
beautiful.
So, recently, we're basically, as you can tell from the title of this video, and probably the pictures, which I may or may not have edited over this recording, we're going to be discussing the latest VR developments, because that is something that we've not touched on yet, and it is a big part of the tech industry at the moment, especially with recent additions to the lineup. I mean, the problem is that I think that most people listening to this, most people I know, think that it's probably just for the millionaires at this point.
Well, it's buying a bloody Vive is like you either put a deposit down on a flat, or you buy a computer and a HTC Vive.
Because of the processing
power. You make that
required.
life choice.
Yeah.
It's like, do I want to live in a cardboard box in VR, or do I want to live in an actual house and, afford to eat food?
I'm surprised you chose the second one, to be honest.
Yeah. I am surprised. I chose to,
So Richard
true real life.
Had a money-making scheme to basically purchase his
I love
latest...
Scheme. Scheme is... I wouldn't call it a scheme, I'd call it blind luck.
Ah, right, okay.
Lot of luck.
Would you like to explain?
Basically, yeah. Over the years, as I've said on previous podcasts, I've collected random tech from just this being my hobby of buying graphics cards and doing overclocking and sending them out within the family and offering people to borrow computers and bits and bobs like that. And recently, I've been thinking more about the future, and I've been at uni for 4 years now, which is quite a while, and I need to start thinking about maybe more grown-up things. So, not that computers aren't grown up. It's just I kind of want a car.
How dare you? Yeah, I know what you mean.
I want a car. So, in order to butter my parents up a little bit, and considering we've just moved house, I thought it'd be best if I maybe cut down the sheer amount of stuff I have.
Ah, that's another point, yeah.
So when we're moving everything back over summer, it's not 6 van trips, but 1. Because they'll probably be a bit happier about maybe 1 van trip than literally it taking... I think it's going to take at least 2 now.
You just get... By the time you've moved everything, it's like, oh, welcome back to university, the summer is over.
We've finally moved everything back from stores. Oh, okay, it's moving day. Oh, God, here we go.
Pretty much.
So I got rid of I think 6 graphics cards in total, a CPU, and an Xbox One that I hated with a passion.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Because
you moved on
Xbox
to
One.
You moved
I
on to
personally
Windows
don't.
10 and it became what's the word? It became
Pointless.
yes. That'll do.
Obsolete. Obsolete in
Obsolete,
my sense
that's
of
the one.
obsolete. Forza was basically all I used the Xbox for, and I can play those games on the Windows Store on PC,
Which
on
is
Windows 10. So
not,
now I have
not
a
the most
functioning.
amazing thing, but it works.
Well, it looks better on PC because I can throw more graphics hardware at it, and
Yes.
I've got plenty of graphics cards, so it's actually a sort of a level up for me on the front of those games, and it means that I could get rid of the Xbox One that I must admit, although I really love certain series on the Xbox, like I quite enjoy the Halo games and I adore Forza Horizon games because it's just this crazy, here's an open world, here's a bunch of cars, enjoy, with a bunch of awesome music. So I sold that and a bunch of other stuff.
And this is where it links in. Honestly, it does link up.
This is the link.
There is actually a link there. It's a very fine link.
I've gone for a nice wander around the pasture of the last 3 months, but I've come back now, and I purchased myself a PlayStation VR.
Dun, dun, dun.
With the funds from selling all this other stuff.
It's a bit like when you have a yard sale because you want to buy one nice new sofa from John Lewis. So you get rid of the old sofa, a lamp, and a biscuit tin, and then you have enough money to go to John Lewis and buy a sofa. That's my analogy.
It's like it's the spring cleaning sort of thing, except it's not. Well, it was spring actually, so it was spring cleaning. I cleaned by selling a bunch of graphics cards I barely used, and then I bought myself this big pile of plastic that I now own and I adore. So I bought the PSVR and all of the gubbins that you need to do all the games properly, the camera and the handsets and all that.
Are they all sold separately? Surely you can't use it without the camera.
You need the camera and the headset to use it.
Right.
But they are sold separately because it's for people who basically bought the PlayStation camera when it came out. So that they could use the camera utility on some games.
Well, that is quite good of them, to be fair. Because if they just sold the entire package and you already had the camera, then that would be a waste of money. So that's quite good for the consumer.
It's nice and modular. It's like I could just buy one of the Move handsets and buy another one when I have the money or whatever, and I can still play some games with just one handset. But the games I wanted to play, I needed both really, like Beat Saber and Space Pirate Trainer, just again the VR stuff. So I ended up selling all this stuff and buying my headset for the grand total outlay for me of nothing. Because
really, did it come to the exact amount?
Yes, it came to 0. Actually, I got a £23 spare leftover voucher, so I spent that on some VR games.
Oh well, makes sense.
So I was actually pretty chuffed with that in the end. But yeah, so I've got a VR headset.
So you've got to talk us through, before we do some comparisons, talk us through some first impressions.
Yeah, we might do a Tech Experiments episode on it actually, because the PlayStation 4 has a recording software.
So can the experiment be...
Harry tries VR. How long does it take for your brain to think, oh, I can just put my hand on the side of this Lamborghini. Oh no, I fell through it. It's not really there. That's not a total real life story that definitely happened.
For instance.
Hey, look. I was getting very excited about playing Superhot for the first time, and that cupboard was actually really fucking painful to hit, and my thumb still hurts.
I can imagine hitting any cupboard isn't great.
Yeah.
There's a particularly hard cupboard even.
So yeah, I just smashed my hand into a cupboard.
Yes. So when you move it all back into your new house, I don't think they're going to be much pleased if you're just there with a headset on, punching through patio doors and things.
Like a bull in the china store. It's just me holding these two like ping pong sticks with ping pong balls on the end, just like hitting my way through walls like the Juggernaut or something. Because it's based on the PS4, it's easy to move. That was what I was going to say actually. Because my first impression of the system.
Yes, that's what we were going to do. That's what we were going to say 10 minutes ago, wasn't it?
The first impression of the thing was that I was really surprised how quick it was to set up. I went from... I already have my PS4 set up, of course, because I've had it for a long time now, 3 or 4 years. So it was literally a case of open up a manual on the internet of, like, PlayStation's website had a brilliant thing of just like, here's where every cable goes. I just literally plugged in all the cables, turned my PS4 on, and it calibrated the camera and calibrated the headset for my iris width and a bunch of other things.
Oh, wow.
So that you can get the 3D really perfect. It measures, when you use the camera to measure where your irises are, the distance apart, then it, in the headset, moves the lenses so that the 3D is set up specifically for your eyes. Which is really good. Works very, very well. And so it was literally a matter of, 10, 15 minutes from no VR to fully set up VR.
That's not what you'd expect.
Motion controllers, because I bought them later after having the headset for a little while, just because I had to move more graphics cards, I had to walk down into town to sell them and things. I can't just go into town with 6 backpacks because I have to go on the bus and things like that. You don't want to be walking through town with like 400 quid worth of graphics cards. So I had the handsets later, and setting them up was swift. Basically, they use the camera to detect them, it sets them up with the PS4, you have to sign in on both handsets, and there you go. They're both tied to the PS4 now. I can press the PlayStation button and turn my PS4 on with the motion controller, just like I would my PS4 controller itself.
So, you didn't buy it from CEX, did you?
Yeah, I bought everything from CEX in the end.
Oh, did they have one in your place, or did you order it?
Yeah, they did, actually. Straight trade. Actually, on the day.
Oh, wow.
Straight trade. So I walked in with graphics cards and walked out with a PSVR headset.
So, how much was it in the end, just for consumer advice?
To buy separately, I got a discounted headset according to their calculation, which I can't tell how it's discounted, to be honest. It looks perfect in every way. All the rubber is perfect, all of the sort of bits of foam, comfort foam, are all there.
Right, yeah.
And
was it
in
boxed?
Very good condition. It wasn't boxed, but again, because it was discounted.
Yes.
But yeah, it's in mint condition. Also, it's the second generation of the headset, because they've done 2 generations of the PSVR headset.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's all the same, they just slightly tweaked some of the hardware. £90 for the headset. It was $32 per controller, which is quite steep.
But
really.
Controllers are always expensive, regardless of their VR-ness or not, to be honest.
It's like an official PS4 controller is 40 quid.
Exactly. And these ones do more to do with the accelerometer than that does.
Well, it has 6 axis in it, but we're getting away from it. So, and the camera itself, I think, was 40, because it has the Generation 2. I got Generation 2 stuff all round, except the motion controllers.
Right.
Because the V2 motion controllers are £15 more expensive. And I'm not paying £15 more for literally no change. Because I had a look online and there's no difference at all between the two. One's just branded with PS4 and one's branded for PS3. They both work identically.
Oh, of course, because they used to be used for the Move thing, which completely flopped.
It was the Move thing to rival the Wii, but they didn't really take off because the Wii existed. And now PlayStation's reusing that technology with their VR headset, which is, I honestly think, a really smart idea.
It is.
Because if you bought into the Move controllers back in the day, and again, they haven't gotten much support and things like that, like there weren't that many Move games that came out, well, they've suddenly got a new lease of life, and the price has reflected that.
Yeah.
You used to be able to buy them for basically nothing, and they've shot up recently. Well, just to give everyone an idea of how much stuff there is.
Some wonderful descriptive words.
Okay. There's this black box.
I'll try and put some pictures up as well. So
with cables. There's the control box, is what they call it, which plugs into the HDMI port on your PS4 and the USB port on the front as well. That's basically does the splitting of the video. So even when you're in VR, it's displaying the same image out to your TV, so that anyone in the room who's with you, say you're having a VR party or something, can see what you're doing. So it's not just a one-person experience. Everyone in the room can be involved.
That is really handy, because I don't imagine that's quite as easy with VR on the PC.
No, I reckon it's because you
might have to run a separate application.
Yeah,
on the PC.
or what you do get out on the screen will be
the two
the same image 2 times for the 2 eye holes.
Yeah.
For the PS4, it's one clean image, and it's in proper 16:9 aspect ratio at 1080p properly. So it's done very well. There's also some games that mean that because other people can see that, you can play multiplayer with one person inside the headset.
Which you wouldn't expect them to sort of implement so quickly.
It's pretty good actually, because there's a few games that you can do that with.
I can't believe how... I mean, I've not seen it for myself yet, but the fact that you weren't disappointed suggests that I'm impressed with how well it holds up, given how much processing power required for the PC equivalent.
It's the thing of, because it's a console, every single drop, as it were, of performance can be extracted from the hardware.
Yes.
So, it's
better
a PC of the
optimized.
same power as my PS4 probably wouldn't do so well with, say, HTC Vive as the PSVR does with the PS4, just because of Windows overhead and then any kind of Valve overhead with any of the software on Valve or HTC side, and then the games overhead of whatever API they're running, so like Vulkan or something, however they're rendering it, and things like that. So without all those layers of extra software needing to be run to go from hardware to image, it's streamlined. So you can see the pixels. It's not, it's not like I do a lot of. I've found myself watching a lot of videos in VR, just with the standard PlayStation desktop. When you put the headset on, you can choose between a small, medium, or a large screen size within the VR environment, and it uses the motion sensors on the headset rather than the camera tracking to basically make it feel like you're in a cinema. You're sort of sitting right at the front of a cinema, and there's this huge 200-inch screen in front of you at the biggest size. And I adore that, because it's your own personal cinema. So I've been watching Stranger Things, the Netflix series,
in
that I
VR.
recently got into, again, in VR.
Oh, right.
And it's a lot more intimate, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because with it taking up your entire field of view, rather than just it being a screen in a room that I can just turn to my side and use my computer, I tend to distract myself with other things, as we all tend to do.
Yes.
I've had multiple monitors for a long time now, so I never really focus on one thing properly.
No,
anymore.
I'm the same. If I'm watching a film, it's very...
Well, you're watching a film, but you're also scrolling through Twitter
or something like that, yeah,
messaging
exactly.
people on Facebook, or scrolling through YouTube, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the modern age, everyone has their phones out all the time. The VR means that you're focused on whatever's on the screen.
Yes.
You are 100% immersed, and it's that immersion thing that everyone talks about when they talk about VR. It's like, oh, it's so immersive. And I was just like, but it's not that immersive. You still got this giant tube stuck to the front of your face, basically. And then I've used it, and as much as, like I was saying, the resolution isn't the highest. HTC Vive has a much higher resolution, especially the Pro with its incredible resolution.
Yeah.
But as much as you can see the pixels, it's like having a 40-inch 1080p screen.
Yeah.
It's noticeable but not distracting. With it being more immersive, you being there, sometimes, when you're a kid and you get so into a film, you sort of stop noticing the periphery.
Yeah.
When you're actually invested, it only really happens when you're a kid, because when you grow up, you've got other stuff you're thinking about. It's like what I'm going to have for tea, or where are we going this evening, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's always stuff going on. But when I was a kid, when you're watching like Monsters Inc. or something for the first time, or, you're invested. Nothing in their world matters except what you are watching. That's the sort of feeling it encapsulates. It's sort of this world where there's this one thing.
Well, I think that if VR is where games are going, which a lot of people would argue is kind of the future of it, then things are only going to get more and more immersive as they learn to compress better textures, etc., etc., fit it all onto. There's a lot of optimization yet that will probably be done, and I think that with the release of like stuff like the Vive Pro, thing is when they release things like that, the model below goes down in price, and then you go up and up and up until someone sat there with a 4K thing on the head, and we can actually afford the Vive Pro. But I think that with the advancements in it, eventually, who knows where it'll end up, I mean, there's so many. I've recently seen, completely cut away from the game application for a second, because there are a lot of applications for it. I recently heard about a program which allows you to view. So basically, it's an application that I think you run it on an iPad. Actually, surely that's not right. I don't know. Anyway,
oh well, anyway.
It's a program that allows you to choose what furniture you would like to go in your house. And I don't think this used a VR headset actually. I think it was AR, but it's close enough. I'll call it close enough. Basically, you hold up. That's why I was thinking it's an iPad. So you hold up the device.
Just quickly, anyone doesn't know, AR is augmented reality. So it's where you can use your camera on your iPad, shall we say, and it places whatever piece of furniture into the room that you have.
It's combining virtual reality with reality. So it puts what's in the virtual reality, like items, into the reality through the camera. It's like certain Snapchat filters when you can put a little person dancing on your desk or whatever. It's basically that, but more complex. So what I saw was they had a load of furniture assets from whatever store it was, and then they could place it in the room, and it would hold that in place. You could move the camera around, see what it looked like from different places, and I thought that's such a... Like 50 years ago or whatever, that would be unthinkable, and that's just
like a Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly.
1950s sci-fi sort of
but
thing.
It's not
like
even... That's
flying
not even
robots and holograms.
Yeah,
and
exactly. That's not even a game application, but the applications for the fact that it makes things so real is there as well. Like you said, the cinema, that's not a game. It's not specifically gaming applications.
No, the cinema's sort of it's just built into the PS4, because when you put the headset on, you're not immediately in a 3D world. It doesn't just drop you into like a glowing white room or whatever.
Yeah.
You have nothing around you, because otherwise it would be quite jarring.
Like the Matrix when he takes him to the weapons place.
Yeah. It basically, instead of that, you have it's just basically like this huge cinema screen of just your normal PlayStation 4 desktop, like is shown on your TV still before you put the headset on. So you can see your TV with the standard PS4 thing, put the headset on, first thing you see is this huge version of exactly what you saw before. Means that it's a lot easier to understand.
It's quite a smart way of doing it, not to disorientate people, because it's what they're used to, it's just bigger and in front of them.
Exactly. So it's a lot less distracting. So you can play all of your games, your standard 2D games, so your non-VR titles, in that mode. So I could play like Fallout 4 mode on a 200-inch cinema screen or whatever it is. PSVR cinematic mode allows for you to view content, including PS4 games and videos, on a virtual screen up to 226 inches in size. So you can play any of your PS4 library, The Witcher 3, Metro Last Light, any game that you've bought on your PS4 in this humongous virtual cinema almost.
I wonder how that compares to an actual cinema screen in size.
It's very interesting, and I must admit, mostly I enjoy watching content through it, because it is a little big for games. And as much as the resolution of the
well, yeah, I can imagine you're looking from the top to the bottom to the actually physically moving your head.
A little bit, or most of it's within your field of view, because you have a 100-degree field of view with the monitor. So
right.
It's not like a 90-degree you're stuck. So you actually can see quite. It's not. Because the problem with that is if it's too tight, you feel like you're just looking through a couple cardboard tubes. It's like you're looking through binoculars at everything. But if it's too... Well, if it if it's huge, then it costs more to set the headset up. You need to get a bigger screen. A bigger screen needs a higher resolution to look nicer. There's all that sort of thing. It's like the Vive Pro has a higher resolution because it has more viewing angle. 110 degrees for the basic Vive. So it has a little bit more viewing angle, but 100 degrees is pretty nice. But anyway, you can see this whole cinema screen. Some of it's in the periphery of your eye, but it's all there and digestible. It just means that games, which are mostly set up to have like the health and the ammo stuff, for like shooters and things, in the bottom corner or the top corner or wherever, out of the way, so you can see the action, it means that you do have to look at them, which can be a bit of an issue. You can see them, so the bars are useful, but if you want actual numbers of how much ammo do I have left in this clip, or do I need to pick up more ammo, how much ammo do I have left total, and things like that, you need to look there. And in the middle of a battle, you don't really want to be doing that.
No.
I want to try more games that way, because so far I've only tried Horizon Zero Dawn, because I adore that game, and I really wanted to see what it was like, and that was nice, but the third-person viewing angle gives you a bit of vertigo, really. You're moving the camera, but you're not moving, and it's so immersive because it's on such a large screen, it's a little jarring.
Yeah, that's the only thing with that sort of in-between mode, I guess.
Because that's the only thing, you don't have any kind of reference around you, because everything's black bar from this giant screen, and when the whole thing is moving, and you aren't, and you have no reference, it's easy for your brain to think, well, if that screen's moving, surely I should be moving, even though you're not in the full 3D. So sometimes that's a little jarring, but other than that, the way that it drops you into that cinema mode first is actually extremely useful. I'm very happy with it, and I had a few people over yesterday, and we had a couple drinks, and we had some food, and we played VR, and it was a really good evening, and I think it's a really good social tool really. It was a really fun afternoon. We had laughs. People nearly fell over. It was really funny, but we played lots of Beat Saber, and Daisy absolutely beat us into the ground and whatever, but yeah. Anyway, I'm really enjoying the headset.
Well, there you go. Positive
review.
Positive feedback.
So, yeah.
I guess we can't compare it to the others. We don't have them as such.
We can't really do a direct comparison because none of us have tried the other forms of VR yet.
But I think that the message generally is that I think a lot of people will deem the PSVR as significantly worse than the other two options. But I think when you consider what practicality it brings to it, in terms of everyone who has already got the console, in terms of everyone who's not got as much money to spend on it.
Yeah, it's the achievability more than anything. It's actually a physically achievable piece of technology. It's something that your average Joe can actually buy without having to remortgage their house or something stupid,
Yeah.
It's like a Vive and a PC that can run a Vive and a room, because you basically just have to have a room for the Vive, because you've got to set up the lighthouses,
the room scaling,
and it takes a while to set all that stuff up. You can't just do it in a day like I did. Well, you can't do it in half an hour like I did with the VR here. I'm in student accommodation. There's no way I could get a HTC Vive here, because I'd need to screw the lighthouses into the wall, and I'm in rented accommodation. I can't do that. Also, I don't think this room is probably... Well, no, it probably would be okay for, say, a HTC Vive. But the issue is that, rented accommodation, go with the PSVR.
Ta-da!
Because, you can't make holes in your walls.
I think it's underestimated.
Definitely.
And I think that, like you said, if there's a version 2, they've obviously had a chance to iron out some of the kinks people may have originally had with it when reviewing it.
Yeah, because I've got the version 2 here, and I'd say the headset itself is extremely comfortable. The only thing I do have a problem with is the headphones. It comes with a set of headphones, and they're those in-ear type. The ones that go actually into your ear holes.
Oh, right, yeah.
But they allow for the 3D audio. So the audio is proper surround 3D. So you can pinpoint things just from hearing them. Which is one of the things that no one talks about when they talk about the PSVR. Everyone and their mother's like, oh, it's not quite as good as the Vive or whatever. Yeah, but when I'm playing Beat Saber, I can find a box without even seeing it because I can hear it. And
Which
when
is
I'm playing
impressive.
Super Hot, I can hear someone walking up behind me as I take a shot at somebody else. I can spin and take them out without even seeing them because I know they're there because of the 3D audio. It works brilliantly in the cinema mode because it basically gives you the cinema experience,
yeah.
the cinema speakers.
I never thought of that. Yeah, because it'll be like having
The proper surround cinema
sound
experience.
I bet that's really strange because you expect it to be coming from the screen.
It's really odd.
Hmm.
But I've done it where I've left the headphones out and just used my monitor speakers, and they're not the best in the world. But sometimes, if you're having a headachy sort of day, sometimes the 3D audio can mess with you a little bit. Also, I'm not keen on the in-ear headphones. That's sort of the point I was trying to make there, is that they can be a little uncomfortable just because it's those things of if your ears aren't quite, everyone has different ears and everyone will find them more
No,
or
I
less
do struggle with
comfortable.
those a bit.
I prefer horrible, cheap GVC plastic headphones, but I'm just from the ancient days when the iPod Touch was an exciting product, so I don't like AirPods and things like that because I'm an old man. Give me a Sony Walkman headset any day.
On that bombshell, I think we've summarised our views a bit.
Yeah,
maybe,
somewhat.
hopefully,
I think
possibly.
At least covered the concept of the thing, and I'm enjoying it as much as a man can love a VR headset. Sort of.
Exactly.
That's very nice.
Hope you enjoyed this ramble.
Yeah,
I hope I can actually cut it together around my stupid headphones disconnecting.
Yeah, we've had a bit of technical
That'll be
issues.
fun. If all goes well, you won't have realised. If it didn't, then there'll be weird gaps in the middle.
If there's weird gaps and we suddenly sound a bit more weary than we did before, it's because Harry's headphones are being rubbish.
Pretty much.
And I swear by my plastic shit JVC headphones that I bought for £2.
How do we end this?
I don't know how we used to end this. I feel like we just end this with this. We've forgotten. We're old now.
We just slowly drift off.
Just gone to sleep.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye.